We are in the heart of the World Tag League 2025 schedule, and it's really kicked in. We had 5 shows this past week to process. We're going to break each match down, each team down, where they are in the standings, how they've been doing, the storylines involved with them, and we'll break down this week's action coming up because there are 5 more shows coming. So they're coming fast and furious as we get closer and closer to Wrestle Kingdom 20. So let's just get started. We've got a lot to talk about with Jeremy Finestone. I'm Stephen Conway. This is Speaking of Strong Style. Welcome, everyone, to Speaking of Strong Style, where we discuss the news, issues, and events surrounding New Japan Pro Wrestling. We are contributors to the Fight Game Media Network. And, Jeremy, a lot of wrestling going on these days. So I mentioned the 5 shows. We also have the Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Tournaments going on. The All Japan Tag Team Tournament is going on. The Noah had their junior knockout bracket. It's not a league in the same way these others are, but they had their junior tournament won by Hiromu Takahashi. All that's been happening. There's been a lot of wrestling to watch. And how was your week on top of it all? A major holiday to deal with.
You know, I don't want to get too nerdy about it, but it felt like there was this rip in the time-space continuum because the past week was so long. Like, it was just a long week in many, many ways. But it feels like it was just yesterday where we recorded our show and dropped it in the audio. So I've just got a little bit of whiplash on life. There's a lot of stuff going on. And I'm going to Japan in like a month, and I'm trying to get that all settled. And it's the holidays, and it's just, we're 2 grown adult men with responsibilities that like to get together on a Thursday and talk about all things New Japan. Sometimes the rest of life says, hey, we're going to throw everything on your plate to tell you that's not going to happen this week. But damn it, we're here.
Yeah, we made it. We made it. You're right. And there has been a lot to deal with here. Jeremy is Jeremy Moore. Hey, it's good to see you. He's glad to be back. Well, we are very glad you're here. And USVA guy is here. Great. I'm glad to see you as well, as always. And, Jeremy, I went up to visit my mom for Thanksgiving. I was up at North. And over the course of 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, they dropped 16 inches of snow on us while we were there. And my girlfriend is from Texas girl through and through, and her first time ever using a snowblower. So she's experiencing snow tourism. I like to think of it as snow tourism, where she gets a little dink and dunk of it and says, "Oh, this is all very cute. It's like out of a winter greeting card thing." And then, but the 16 inches is an awful lot to deal with, and she got to look at the other side of it when you actually get snowed in, and you have to wait for the county plows to come out so that you can actually go to a restaurant or to the store or anything. She saw the other side of it, the part that doesn't look like a greeting card, the part that looks like slush and dirt and dog piss and all that kind of stuff piled up at the end of your driveway because the snow's dirty after everything goes through it. And I said, yeah, this is what it's really like. This is what it's really like.
The first thing that I thought of when you were describing that was, no matter what the context is, Stephen, 16 inches is too much for any one person to handle.
That's very true. That is very true. That's very true.
My family is by no means bougie, okay? But I had to call my mother today to wish her a happy birthday because she's flying to Rome tomorrow to meet my sister who works in the East, like Africa continent. And they're meeting up in Rome for my mom's birthday and to supervise some kids. And we were having a discussion about how we weren't all going to see each other this holiday season because I was going to Japan and she was going to Rome and all these things. And it's just the weirdest year, man. It is the weirdest year of all these things. And I spent a lot of Thanksgiving counting my blessings and being thankful for a lot of things I have because, man, 10, 15, 20 years ago, life was really different. Life was really different, really hard, and still a kid, even though I was an adult. And, I'm very thankful for a lot of things, including the show, because it's afforded opportunities that even 5 years ago, I didn't even think would happen.
Well, before we get started on World Tag League, you've been afforded an opportunity, and we all have really, to do something that I didn't even get to do 1 year ago when I was over in Japan. There was a loose conglomeration of New Japan podcasters that made the trip over from Tokyo. And I met up with the We Work Stiff guys a couple of times unintentionally. We just kind of ran into each other because we were in the same place at the same time. Wanted to do something a little bit more formal this year, Jeremy, and it is happening, and it's a very cool thing. So can you talk to us a little bit about what's going on with some of our friends who also do New Japan-related podcasts and Wrestle Kingdom 20?
Well, before I do that, I just want to make sure that you know that you were probably a big part of this happening because of your participation in meeting up with people and just kind of conversing and the idea of all of these podcasters getting together. So without further ado, it was announced on the Keep It
Do if you want, go right ahead.
podcast.
I don't mind a little ado here and there.
Yeah. With announced on the Keeping It Strong Style podcast, there's actually going to be a podcasting summit 2026 for all the New Japan podcasters that we know of that are coming over there. So we have the Super J cast with Damon and Joel. We've got Keeping It Strong Style with Young Boy Josh and Jeremy Donovan. We have Josh from We Work Stiff, and I will be representing Speaking of Strong Style. Now, these are incredibly creatively inclined people, both Joshes, especially. Josh Smith has taken this design and actually made merchandise that you can find here at this website and also be in the show notes. You can get this and this other design right here converted into t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, hoodies. I got a hoodie made so that I can wear it all around the thing with the logo on my back just to kind of advertise it for the entirety of the trip. And also to have a souvenir because this is really cool. And I'm very honored to be a part of it. So the details are a few hours before Wrestle Kingdom, we are going to meet at Hub's British Pub near the Tokyo Dome.
Oh, yeah.
Informally. And we are all going to get together for a few hours, and we're all just going to be there. We're going to talk about the show. We're going to bask in what could be an all-timer moment with Tanahashi while weeping that Takeshita retains, or we could be basking in the Tanahashi retirement while celebrating that Yota Tsuji won the title. Either one, but we know that the Tanahashi retirement is going to be a big deal, and we want to, celebrate both before and after what a thing is. So if you are in Japan, if you hear this clip, I'm going to try and propagate it before Wrestle Kingdom, the Podcasting Summit 2026 of all the Tokyo Dome podcasters joining. We got Keep It Strong Style, We Work Stiff, Super J Cast, and Speaking of Strong Style, we'll be at Hub's British Pub hours before Wrestle Kingdom 20 and a legendary night. So just wanted to throw that out there. I wanted to give Josh from We Work Stiff all the credit in the world for this design. He worked on all the imaging and did a fantastic job. I thought the way he represented all the flags from where everyone was from and where we were going to be was an especially nice touch. And they took a lot of care in making sure that our logo was perfect in there. And so I appreciate that attention to detail. And if he hears this, just know that I love you, Josh. You're great. And then, I've been talking with the Keeping It Strong Style boys.
Yeah.
Steven. And I think you know this already, but they are going to be our guests in 2 weeks for our Wrestle Kingdom preview. So we are going double the strong style. Speaking of keeping it strong style, will be the special show that day. And I'm really looking forward. And I told them this myself. I feel like it was far too long before we did a collaboration with them. And I'm really looking forward to having them on our show and, doing the cross exposure bit for both of us.
Yeah, certainly. And of course, we had Josh from We Work Stiff on one of our review shows of a NJPW Strong card. So, he was with us for that. We've been on We Work Stiff. So there's been a little bit of this collaboration before, but never anything this formal. And I think it's very cool. I'm glad you're getting a chance to do it. And I am completely, not at all jealous that I'm not going to be there. Not at all. I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. It's all good.
I am honestly just trying to talk like will you know, like I'm just gonna find a way and I'm gonna go. But even now I'm not even sure you can get a ticket.
I don't know. Might be tough. It's tough to get in that building, Jeremy. It's sold out. It's going to be very exciting.
Blown my mind. I'm going to have a little bit of claustrophobia because I don't like crowds, and I'm right dead center in the middle of all of this. But you make exceptions when you're uncomfortable for things that matter.
You'll be packed in just because you're always packed in Japan. Yeah. The good news is about the Dome is it is a large baseball stadium. The roof is very, very high. There is air to breathe. Air to breathe. So I hope that mitigates some of that. Although
no, everything's going to be fine. But it's just like I've been in stadiums where there's just been a metric ton of people, and it's just like, man, there's a lot of people here.
Well, you are going to experience that. There's very little doubt about it, and it's a very cool thing that this is doing so well ticket wise. It's got to be good for morale. It's certainly good for. I feel like it's good for our morale, and just hearing that this thing sold out makes me more amped up for it than usual. I also want to mention one other bit of housekeeping thing. Our sibling show, Power Bombshells, Sam has a recent interview with Charity King. And that is going to be a very cool thing. That's up on their YouTube show. And Charity King, one of the top wrestlers in the Carolinas area there, women's champion for Ashe Wrestling. And she interviewed Charity King. So go check that out. It's a neat little a good get for Sam, and we're happy for the Bombshells.
So I just realized this is not the most attended show I've ever been to in my life, because I forgot the attendance of WrestleMania 28. Which I went to in the nosebleeds. Do you remember what the attendance of that show was?
Help me out. That was the one at that's the one at the
that was the once in a lifetime at Sun Life Stadium with John Cena and The Rock the first time.
Oh wow. Okay. So, well, that one. Oh shoot. That's a football stadium as opposed to a baseball park. So that's going to be larger. Was that one? Did that one hit 70,000?
78,363.
So 70 was probably closer to the real number.
I looked up the real attendance, and that was what it said was the real attendance. So you might be right on that. You might be right on that.
I mean, that might be
more like 73, 74.
And so that was the first of the two matches they had against each other there?
They went to New Jersey for the next one, but man,
that's right. That one it was like 50 degrees out or something for that one, wasn't it? It was like really chilly for the New Jersey one. All right. Yeah.
If it wasn't for that show, I probably wouldn't be here today. In all honesty, I probably would have tapped out on wrestling, but that changed things.
I want to say that the largest attendance I've been a part of for wrestling would have been probably WrestleMania 8 in Indianapolis when it was back at the old Hoosier Dome. The other WrestleManias I attended were in basketball arenas. It was before the stadium days for the most part, and this was the one that had Randy Savage versus Ric Flair. Bret Hart, Roddy Piper, those were the two best matches. And then the main event was Hulk Hogan against Sid, which was not a great match, as you can imagine, and featured the return of the Ultimate Warrior. And we all know how well that worked out.
Not well at all.
You know what that's known as, Jeremy? Seriously, the WrestleMania where they didn't do Hogan versus Flair. That's really what that one's known for. The one where they didn't do Hogan versus Flair.
Yeah. You know, speaking of something else that didn't really work out for people, as we'll move on from this, Masatori Yasuda has a brother.
Yes,
and apparently he was fired from New Japan in May. And whatever this reason is, we do not know.
Well, he was fired or he left. I heard that he, as well as his twin brother, Masatora, had some injuries. And I had heard that it was the injuries that he left over with. That was what I heard, but I'm sure there's almost always a combination of reasons.
I heard from one source that it was a firing, but I don't want to say for sure, because if you're going to raise that it's injury, that definitely could be a thing. So he's no longer in the dojo, even though his Masatori Yasuda's brother. This is Masatori Yasuda's brother. I don't actually remember, didn't catch his name, but he's going under the name Ryusei now. For stage purposes. And so he is training under Naito, and we've talked about how Masatori Yasuda has the makings for the next Tiger Mask, right?
Yeah, I figured either he or Shomakato.
How is this not the perfect origin for Black Tiger?
Yeah, well, yes. Yeah, sure. If he ends
Busted
up back in
out
the
of the dojo, off to train with one of the one of those that left the New Japan dojo, training under a different name. Kung Black is back, Tiger, and then it revealed he's his twin brother.
That's right out of a manga, if ever I've heard one.
Oh
right?
my
that's
God.
good.
I was just thinking about this and like, they have to do it now. Like, they absolutely have to do this.
Well, maybe we'll see one day. I still feel very strongly that Tetsuya Naito will have another match in New Japan. It's going to happen simply because no one else can really pay him for more than one date at a time, more than New Japan could ever do it. Like Noah can certainly pay him a big paycheck for one day, but as far as anything long term, and he's not an old man. He's an old man in wrestling terms, and his body has a lot of miles on it. But Naito's got a few decades to live, so he's going to have to make his living somewhere. And if he's going to be in wrestling, I have a feeling it's going to circle back to New Japan someday. This could happen.
He's also got to have a better taste in business partners if he wants this money to last. So, yeah, he's got to make better decisions moving forward. I 1000% believe that we have not seen his last match in New Japan in any way, shape, or form. Even if he were to have a retirement match at some point, it's gotta have to happen in New Japan. They're too synonymous with each other at this point. It's like the guy that played for 5 different teams after spending 10 years on one team and then going back and retiring with that last team because that's where he really should be. That's what Naito is. He's gonna come back for one last thing and then he's gonna shut down because he's not ready to hang it up. But when it is, there's only one place he can hang it up at.
And he hasn't wrestled very much at all since he left. Not very much at all. But there have been some hiccups for that. Brad's here. Hey, all right,
hi, Brad.
Hey, good to see you. We're gonna and Jeremy, we're gonna get to your question here in a minute before we pick it up. One thing I want to mention about the Asada twins, of course, second generation wrestlers. Their father was Zumbido, a luchador who teamed an awful lot with Shocker in both the Mexican Indies, a little bit of AAA. And one of those, a guy that was around for a while on the Mexican scene, Mexican wrestlers. So they're mixed. They have a Mexican father, Japanese mother, that type of thing. So I don't think Zumbido was Japanese. Maybe you know what? I shouldn't have said that they were necessarily, but he certainly wrestled in Mexico. I'd have to double check all that. I just kind of remember that their father was a luchador, Zumbido. And Jeremy is asking this a good question. And then Brad, we're going to get to your comment. Jeremy says, is there one show I need to rewatch since the G1? I took a break. I remember talking to Jeremy about this, maybe feeling that he needs to take some time off, I believe. I think we even addressed it on the show, if I remember right, Jeremy. We did with somebody. And I think it was you.
I think that show at the beginning of November, not the Tanahashi retirement or whatever, with Gabe Kidd and Yota Tsuji, that match, was that?
One of the things that I thought was really good, I thought that Destruction in Kobe was a damn good show.
It might have been it.
I thought that was a really good show, Destruction in Kobe, and maybe even more so than KOPW. Although KOPW had some good stuff on it, but I thought we came out of Destruction in Kobe on a bit of a high, Jeremy, when we talked about that show. Like, really enjoyed the wrestling, enjoyed the storytelling. I remember that one was I called it station to station booking. Good match. Then a nice angle that leads to the next thing and tells you when the next thing is. That's just like good fundamental wrestling booking. I felt that Destruction in Kobe had that. So if you are coming in since G1, I would recommend that one.
That I don't think that was I think the Tanahashi,
the final thing in his hometown.
The final homecoming. It was Takeshita and Goto. And Tsuji and Tanahashi, which cemented the Takeshita and Tsuji match. That show I thought was one that it's pretty much crucial for the Wrestle Kingdom build.
Yeah, so there's two good choices for you right there. Both of those shows were solid evenings of entertainment right there. And when you come back if you get kind of burnt out on a promotion or wrestling as a whole, I recommend coming back to a big event and not just picking up some Road 2 show anywhere or a random Raw if it's American wrestling that you're burned out on like me. Like, come back on a big night when everybody's motivated to work hard. Everyone wants to steal the show. That's the kind of thing that'll get your juices going again if you feel like you're ready to come back. And that would be what I would say. Here's Brad's comment, Jeremy. He said there was a show today, Tiger Mask, our own Tiger Mask 4. He teamed with Great Sasuke, another name from the past, and the new Hayabusa.
Hell yeah.
He said he invited Hayabusa to come to New Japan for some matches, and Hayabusa said he would love to. I would love to see it. I'm excited about that. I actually
is he junior heavyweight right now, Brad?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Hayabusa is
Super Junior Tag League.
Yeah, and he just says he also says the one thing this tag league has done well is get me excited for next year. I'm very intrigued to see new units formed, and they've done some good stories during this tour. So Brad's enjoying tag league so far that we're about to get into, but there have been some subplots and things. I would love to see the new Hayabusa over there, and Tiger Mask is going to be retiring next summer, so we'll have that to look at, but. Best of the Super Juniors, that's not a bad place for a guest like Hayabusa, who doesn't have to be flown in from America or Mexico. It's a good spot for him. So Best of Super Juniors next year, we can look for that or bring him in even earlier. But that seems like a natural spot for me anyway, if Hayabusa is ready for this level.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of keeping it strong style.
Oh, okay.
Their parent company, Social Suplex, they had a writer on the front page of their latest e-zine magazine from their website, Trish Spears, who laid out everything very detailed of the 2025 New Japan in review, including all the Tanahashi negotiations. I strongly suggest that everyone who is interested in how the Tanahashi stuff played out, read that article, please and thank you.
All right. Well, there you have it. There's a lot of twists and turns to that whole thing. But the bottom line is we're getting Tanahashi versus Okada in a sold-out stadium. And
it's probably going to be fucking awesome.
It's going to be a great match because Okada's not going to want to go in there and lay an egg.
And that retirement ceremony, man, it was the Sumi Sakai retirement in San Jose that got me to go to this show. Like I sat there and I watched that from the top balcony front row, and I watched the whole thing. I'm like, I have to go, and that was it, like right there.
All right, so let's take a look here at World Tag League. Should we go ahead and get started with that?
Yeah, we do. You want the A block bracketing, right?
Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about the crowds we've been getting here before we go into the matches because it's been interesting. So. On the 28th, they were in Aomori, which is up in the northern part of Honshu. And I'm bringing this up just because Aomori is a place where they have frequent shows. For instance, they drew 1,187 in Aomori on the 28th. They had about 1,500 for the Road to New Beginning in the same building this year, so down a little bit. But that one ended up being the outlier of the week, Jeremy. The rest of the crowds were pretty good. Interesting note, in Mutsu, which was the show right after Aomori there on the 29th, that's the first time they had been there in over 30 years. First time they had been to Mutsu in 30 years. Other companies have been to Mutsu. All Japan goes there. There have been occasional Noah cards, a little bit of Stardom in that place, but New Japan had not been since Best of the Super Juniors 2 in 1995.
Was one of those two shows the ones where the entire audience and stage and everything was pitch black?
Yeah, I think that one was Yamanashi, if I remember right. But Mutsu might have been. But I want to share with you the card, by the way, from that Mutsu in 1995. Sure. It's an interesting card. So the last time they were in that building, all right, it was Best of the Super Juniors. They only had 2 matches from that tournament there. It was Gran Hamada defeating Brian Pillman. So we're talking about the 1995 New Japan was in the midst of its alliance with WCW. And in the other Super Junior match, Koji Kanemoto defeated Dean Malenko. Also on that show, Norio Honaga and Wild Pegasus. So that was Chris Benoit defeated Shinjiro Otani and Tokumitsu Ishizawa.
On there.
Yep, here we are. Later on, by the way, the Hellraisers, Hawk and Kensuke Sasaki as Power Warrior defeated Masa Saito and Riki Choshu. The Steiner brothers on that show beat Keiji Muto and a very young Yuji Nagata. Main event, Hiro Saito, Tenzan, and Chono defeated Junji Hirata, Shinya Hashimoto, and Tadao Yasuda. How about that? So that was the last time they were in that building.
Power Warriors almost goes as hard as War Dragons.
Yeah, well, they were the Hellraisers. It was Hawk and Power. And that was the whole
They
thing.
were the
Hawk and
Hellraisers. That
They were
goes
the
harder than War Dragons. I will give them that.
Yeah,
Goes
and
harder.
so this is when Animal was still on his Lloyd's of London disability check thing. You know, remember how he had insured his own body through Lloyd's of London and ended up cashing out. And so he couldn't wrestle. He could not wrestle. So Hawk took a new partner back then. And then Jeremy says, any new factions forming? Thanks. I'll watch both. Well, we're going to get into that more. Not yet, but things are brewing. Things are brewing, especially with United Empire. And we're not sure what's going on totally with the unaffiliated group. But that seems to be the main focus seems to be on something coming with United Empire. And then who knows with the War Dogs? A lot of that is going to have to do with guys' contract statuses and if people are leaving the company. And you can see from the booking, New Japan is protecting itself a bit from the eventuality of losing some or all of these guys. So they're playing
Callum
some
Newman
cards
acting more like David Finlay than David Finlay is.
That's well put. That's very well put. They definitely have. There are certainly some guys that they have plans for next year. Callum Newman, definitely one of them. So yeah, some thoughts there. Yeah. So anyway, that was the last time they were in Mutsu. So then they went to Akita. In Akita, they drew 1,300 on the 30th, and that's the best crowd they've had in Akita since 2019. Wow. Best crowd since pre-pandemic. And I think a lot of this is people realize we got to go see Tanahashi one more time. If you're not going to the Dome, this is it. You might not be able to see Hiroshi Tanahashi again. Yamanashi, 980 people in Yamanashi. That's Shingo Takagi's hometown. He was in the main event. Tanahashi was on the card last time in Yamanashi. Best crowd in Yamanashi since 2019. And then in Shizuoka, they go to Shizuoka a lot, so it's hard to kind of make the attendance go either direction. That's a regular stop. And this one, they were there for the New Japan Cup, for instance. And this show did about the same, a little over 800. It's not a very big building, not a very big town. But so that Aomori show, a little bit of an outlier that was down a few hundred from the New Beginning Road 2 show that they got earlier in the year. Otherwise, crowds have been fairly strong. And then they're going to some pretty good towns for them this week. This week, we're getting Osaka. We're getting Hiroshima. So I would imagine that especially with Tanahashi looking down the barrel of the final appearances, we're going to be seeing some crowds there to say goodbye to the ace. So, the fans are up anyway. And for the most part, they have seen some pretty good matches. And then a couple of and there was one that I would say was great. So we'll talk about that. But that's just a little snapshot of attendance as we go through this week. And I'm a venue nerd, so I had to look up Mutsu.
Hey, you get to talk about whatever you want. This is your show.
All right, well, let's get into World Tag League, the A block. So what we're going to do, again, it would just be a mass of results if we just started naming everything. We're going to talk more about how the teams are doing. And the A block is a little bit more spread out than B block. We'll talk about B block when we get there, but that one's got a very packed-in field. This one, we have one team in the lead and one team trailing far behind. Two teams trailing very far behind, in fact, and are already eliminated. But in the lead, with the most points and the most discord between the two, the most rancor, the most disagreement, is Yota Tsuji, our challenger for the World Heavyweight Championship, and of course the global champion currently, and his partner, Gabe Kidd. They had the most interesting week storyline-wise, and it began in Mutsu with a win over Toriano and Bolton. Now, both teams went into this match 2-1. Match was pretty good. Kidd brought out the angry Toriano. That he brought out the pissy version of him right there. Got the aggressive Yano instead of the clowning one. Bolton was good against both guys, and that bodes well for the company. I think if he has good chemistry with Tsuji, that's a good thing. If these guys wrestle each other well for the future, anyway. Strong ending sequence, and again, Yano doing less of the goofing off, not none, but less of it, and wrestling a little bit more. This was good. High-low lariat to win that match in Mutsu. Now, things took a little turn in Yamanashi. Now, this match with Desperado and Ishikawa turned into a hardcore match. Ishikawa and Kidd started bringing in tables. chairs, and you know Desperado's always up for stuff like that. There was a moment though that this wasn't great. Ishikawa gave Gabe Kidd a pile driver, Jeremy, off the apron through a table at ringside.
Oh, so bad.
Then Gabe Kidd blatantly cuts his forehead with the camera sitting there right in his face. He's digging away, cutting his forehead, hands the blade off to Zane J, also caught on camera nicely. And then just to make sure that you know that this is all fake and no one's actually trying to hurt each other, he popped back up and was back on offense in like a minute. Didn't sell it. It meant nothing. Did something very dangerous, sliced his forehead open, and it meant absolutely zilch zero. And anyway, they go back in. Tsuji didn't.
What's even funnier is that I'm watching Shuji Ishikawa gently get off of the table because of all the exposed like metal rivetier, and he's huge, and he's only wearing the little like trunks, and so he's so easily able to just cut himself. Thankfully, he didn't, but he had his legs like wide open for the pile, and he just looked like a huge dog in a baby crib.
And yeah, so they don't bother selling it. They don't do anything else. So we just hop back into the ring. Like it never happened. So what was the point of doing it, I ask you? It was just an idiotic thing. Anyway, Tsuji had nothing to do with any of the hardcore stuff. Now, they made a storyline reason for it. Mm-hmm. The real reason is Yota Tsuji's in bubble wrap until this dome match happens. Don't do anything to him. But so he did not have anything to do with those nasty tables and things. But Jeremy, that whole thing with the pile driver off the apron through the table for no reason, this is a match you would see in the United States today in front of 30 people at a VFW hall. The exact same stuff. Just we're going to do stuff and get an ooh, and it matters not. To me, Jeremy, this is the most proof I have ever had that Gabe is ready to come back and wrestle in the United States. He knows now that it's just guys doing things. And now he is ready to be a guy doing stuff. And this is a perfect example of that. So, Gabe, you're ready for American wrestling, by God. We don't need any psychology. We just need to do a couple of little spots that you can break down into a TikTok clip. Well done. You're on the road to success in American wrestling. Oh, God. Anyway, I hated this. Did I mention that I hated this?
He is definitely getting the bucket list stuff done, because as you were talking about it, I had this vision in my mind of Gabe Kidd and El Desperado in the back, just like, we're never going to get another chance to wrestle each other. You know this, right? And it's like, so we're going to do whatever we want. We got to do it tonight, right? Like, yep. And they went ahead and they did that. But you can imagine them having that conversation, right? Where there's like, we really didn't get a chance to cut loose on each other the way we wanted to. Nope. I guess this is our time tonight. Yep. So we're doing it. Yep.
Okay, so they certainly don't want to do anything to Yota Tsuji before that, and they didn't.
No,
so the storyline reason.
And he's sitting there like lambasting everyone in the ring, like, "What are you doing? Can we just have a wrestling match?"
Yeah. And he says later, I don't want to do this stuff. I don't need to do this stuff. Mm-hmm. And so here's the thing, though. This is the part that scares me, Jeremy. Do you think that we are leading to one more Kid versus Tsuji match? No. Before the dome? I hope not, because my God, the rate that Gabe Kidd injures guys. Now it's been a while, but you can't take that chance with Yota Tsuji that he puts him out like he did Kingston and Hanare. But again, it's been a very long time since that stuff happened. But I think we're good, right? But this is going to lead somewhere, isn't it?
Where it's like somehow they don't make the finals and this putters out rather than like explodes. I think they're setting up other people to explode with each other, and I think that it would take away if they ran that back.
All right. Well, anyway, they are on 8 points and they lead the whole tournament. So there you go.
I don't think they're advancing though. If they do, they can't win it. They can't be a part of the plans.
Yeah, so correct.
Maybe they do, but I think they're looking good being ahead for the majority of the tournament. And then the kind of photo finish, other two teams kind of swoop in, because there are two other teams that I think that are for sure going forward.
Brad says Tsuji versus Kid, title versus NJPW career. And if they do it, I really, really hope it's after Wrestle Kingdom. I just wouldn't put Tsuji in the ring there. And the USVA guy says, remember, there's a show in New Jersey.
Gross.
Good point. You that could be something that they do. Just don't do it before the Dome. I mean, Tsuji is in bubble wrap until the Dome. That's all I'm saying.
I'm so angry there's no San Jose show. I know I'm going to Wrestle Kingdom, but that Battle in the Valley was a tradition.
Well, and I mean, you can almost walk there. That's nice.
I mean, I'm going to be able to almost walk to the Tokyo Dome from the hotel, so I get that to walk that back this year. But yeah, I miss the San Jose Civic New Japan show. That's
again, War Hero 99 is here to torture us by saying, "Can the Usos win?"
Yes.
Yeah, the Usos might win World Tag League. That could always happen. You never know. Super kick party. Yeah. All right.
So who we got next?
Bishamon. Or the Hardys, he says, or the Hardys. The Hardys, no, we don't need the Hardys winning this one. I don't think their bodies would hold up. Bishamon on 6 points. Of course, this is the classic New Japan tag team. They lost to Ishikawa and Desperado in an upset in Mutsu. Pretty good match, but Ishikawa hit a giant slam on Yoshihashi and beat him. I thought this was Ishikawa's best match of the tournament thus far. I thought the Bishamon did a really good job playing to his strengths. He's an older guy. You know, he doesn't do everything well as he used to and not as smoothly as he used to. The body doesn't let him necessarily, but I think they hid that well and put over his power nicely. I enjoyed this match. So Bishamon upset there, which was a bit of a setback for them after dropping the first match of the tournament as well. So that's 2 losses for them. Then they defeated Evil and Fale and Yamanashi with lots of House of Torture stuff. But Matsumoto, our plucky little young lion there, he held off Dick Togo in the aisle. But Sho snuck in with a Garrett because they had the numbers on them. Yoshihashi was up on Fale's shoulders, and that's a dangerous place to put Yoshihashi because he has gotten his crucifix bomb over as a kill shot. It's almost, it's not quite Saki Kashima's roll up, but it's up there. And Matsumoto even helped clear the ring, fought off House of Torture afterwards. So Matsumoto really endearing himself to Goto, wants to be part of the Goto Revolutionary Army, and it was a victory over House of Torture for this one. And the new young lion showing that he is willing to stand up against House of Torture back to back with Goto in the ring, stand there while Yoshihashi was recovering.
I laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed when I saw the Yoshihashi pin on Fale in this match, because he's basically on his shoulders and then Fale falls backwards and Yoshihashi has to do everything in his power to kind of tuck under Fale and get his shoulders to the other side of his body for this pin. And Fale's lost a little bit of weight, so it's not quite so difficult. But when you think about this whole maneuver, it's not Yoshihashi that looked like the comedic aspect of this performance.
Right, fair enough. There.
I think Bishamon is definitely one of the 2 teams that I have at this point advancing to the next round of block play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. I still think so.
Like for winning the tournament 3 years in a row, there's cachet to them losing to somebody else or winning again, but I would assume losing to somebody else near the end.
Yeah, and so let's take a look at their tournament. So Evil and Fale still have to wrestle Yano and Oleg, and then they also have to wrestle Desperado and Ishikawa. So those are their remaining matches. I think Tsuji and Kid have a couple of really interesting ones left, Bishamon and Taichi and Kojima. And there's a bit of a story going on with those 2 as well. And as Brad mentions, Fale has taken a couple of pins this tournament. And Brad says, I'm surprised as he's always been protected. He usually is protected.
Not when Evil has to be protected.
And I think that's the situation we're in right now. One, it's a different world. Fale is just not as much of a regular as he used to be. And then, like you mentioned, Evil ain't going to be taking any pins with Aaron Wolf on the horizon for him because he's going to look as strong as he can look going into that match.
Yeah, so if we have Bishamon as the 1 and then Evil and Don Fale as the 2, that's kind of where I've kind of got it. I think Bishamon defeats Tsuji and Gable with them being a veteran tag team, and Tsuji and not Gable Kid, Gabe, not Gable.
Yeah.
having those two together with them being kind of the fissure between them, I think that's going to kind of cost them the next two matches and kind of squeeze them out of the tournament, and then get Evil winning two more, and then Bishamon winning two more, and then some of these other teams just coming close, but not quite.
So Evil and Fale is another team on 6 points. And we mentioned their loss to Bishamon. We just talked about that. They also defeated Taichi and Kojima in the Mutsu show. It was kept short, but what was there actually wasn't too bad. The ref bump actually looked all right. They got a decent ref bump in there. Looked like he might have been actually knocked out that time. A clever thing here where Evil faked calling in someone from the back. He was waving, come here. So Taichi went to attack the guy in the aisle. He's ready to cut him off. But Yoshinobu Kanemaru came in from the crowd. There was a low blow, whiskey to the eyes. Everything is evil. And Evil and Fale ended up winning that one. So they went 1-1 this week and are sitting on 6 points, very much threatening to make the playoffs.
So, yeah, I think I've gone over all that stuff with those two because they're kind of the hand in hand. But, I was wondering whether that last match with Yano and Oleg versus Evil and Don Foley, which way that would go. Because obviously there's history with Bolt and Oleg and the Never title and going through Fale. So do they do that and cause them to be spoiled? Could Oleg and Toru Yano spoil the chances for them at the last night, or will losing catapult them to the 10 points and get them forward? So it is kind of interesting. I think either way you get it, I feel like Yano and Oleg are at that 8-point mark. So the whole thing is getting real close to the wire. You know what I mean? It can go in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. Solid booking, because this does have a lot of possibilities and directions. So after that, we have Shingo Takagi and Drilla Maloney on 6 points. And they got a win over Owens and Yujiro in Mitsu. I think they got more out of that House of Torture team than anybody else has. It was Owens and Yujiro's best match of the tournament there. They used the Terry Funk Junkyard Dog principle, Jeremy. Terry Funk was generally considered Junkyard Dog's best in-ring opponent. He just got that feud in WWF in the 80s after Junkyard Dog had started eating and the cocaine was getting to him and all that. So he just wasn't what he was when he was the powerlifting built guy in Mid-South wrestling. And they asked Terry Funk, how do you wrestle Junkyard Dog? He said, tell him to stand in the middle of the ring and bounce off of him. That's what they did with Yujiro. Yujiro stood in the middle of the ring, and Maloney and Shingo just did all kinds of things to bounce off of and into him. If you watch this, Yujiro probably gets fewer steps in this match than anybody else in this tournament. It's a pretty clever way to work if you know how to do it. And, of course, Shingo and Maloney do. Double Maiden Japan's on Owens to win the thing. A couple nights later, they defeated Taichi and Kojima in Yamanashi. And, again, that was a main event in Shingo's hometown. Battle of the Lariat from Kojima versus the Pumping Bomber. Taichi wanted to wrestle that night, by the way. Less knee selling. Most of his matches have been him playing the good guy in peril because his knee is bad. He wanted to wrestle Shingo and Maloney, so there was less stuff about the knee where he was just on the mat trying to fight his way to Kojima. It was good. And Kojima kicked out of the Pumping Bomber, so Shingo showed the legend a lot of respect right there. They were clobbering each other with those clotheslines. Ended up hitting Burning Dragon on Kojima to win. Pretty good match there. So once again, Shingo and Maloney probably having the best matches in this block overall, and they're sitting at 6 points.
Yeah, they're bells of the ball, not the focus though. It feels like they're there to have banger matches and give you the idea, but I just don't think that they're the ones to move forward. Their strength of schedule at the very end of this thing feels like their focus is on their opponent and not them. Against Bishamon that last night, Bishamon is one of those teams that you really do expect to be going forward. And then Toru Yano and Bolton Oleg, that's kind of a toss-up match to me. You could have either one of them winning that match. And I really like their matches. But again, I'm kind of in that vibe of they're there to have good matches during the block play.
Brad is with him too. He says, "I love the War Dragons. Keep them as a team post tournament." I'm enjoying the heck out of it too, and I'm starting to think, Jeremy, that Drilla Maloney is one of the best tag team wrestlers in the world, because it seems like whoever you put him with, they are interesting, dynamic, and they work very smoothly together. He might just be one of those guys who are really good at tag team wrestling, and he's a good singles wrestler too. He has good matches, of course, but some people just have a knack for the tag team thing, and it just seems like no matter who Drilla's with, you can't take your eyes off him. He might be one of the better tag team wrestlers out there right now.
Definitely solid fundamentals on that one. I'll give him that. All right,
answering a couple of questions before we move on right here. Jeremy is asking, where can I see Aaron Wolf wrestle? It doesn't ring a bell. Well, that, Jeremy, is because he is making his debut on January 4th in the Tokyo Dome. Aaron Wolf is a judo gold medalist from Japan. He is a Japanese citizen, and of course, martial arts, very big in Japan. Judo is a major sport in Japan, and one of those martial arts that a lot of people have studied at least at some point in their lives. A lot of people in Japan take judo lessons at some point, either as an adult to stay in shape, as a kid, and judo is a big deal. And he was a super heavyweight. So again, under Japanese culture, most of them are in the smaller weight classes, like Naoya Inoue, that incredible boxer, one of the best in the world, but a small guy. But he was a super heavyweight and won the super heavyweight gold medal in the Olympics, joining New Japan Pro Wrestling, being trained by Evil, and he's going to have his debut in the Dome against Evil. This is considered a big deal because he is a bigger mainstream name than anybody really on the New Japan roster. So if you just go up to people on the street, a lot more people will know who Aaron Wolf is than say knows who Yota Tsuji or Konosuke Takeshita was. He's going to get a lot of mainstream publicity, and of course, this match will be broadcast live on national television in Japan for the first time in the Wrestle Kingdom era. So it's a big deal, and a lot of pressure on Evil to get something out of him. So that's the story about Aaron Wolf. And also, this is worth noting too, Jeremy. I saw the same thing. I made the same note. Red Shoes has not been doing all the main events on this tour. Marty Asami has been doing some main events. In fact, Red Shoes did the first two matches a couple of nights ago, with everybody else shifted forward. You know how Sakamoto usually starts, then you get Kenta Sato, then you get Marty Asami, main event with Red Shoes. Red Shoes opening the matches and moving out, unless it's just getting Marty ready to take over that main event role that Red Shoes has been in for so long. I'm not aware of any other thing. Certainly nothing's been made public, but it's a good point. Red Shoes has been working outside of the main event when, years and years and years, he's been the main event only referee. So something to keep an eye on. Maybe Red Shoes looking to slow down a little bit, perhaps. I don't know. But like I said, there have been no announcements of it that I've heard, but they do seem to be trying out other guys in that main event slot.
Yeah, I kind of casually noticed it, but I didn't think anything of it. It could just be, took a tour off, like these guys.
Well, he's on the tour. I mean, he is refereeing. He's just not refereeing the mains. And that's the part that's weird. I am trying to remember a time when he didn't referee the main event of a show he was on. Can't do it until this tour.
Yeah, I don't have any answers for you. I'm not going to make anything up. I got nothing.
And since he became the main event, he wasn't always the main event rep. Tiger Hattori was, for instance, for a long time. Tiger Hattori was. There have been other main event reps, of course, over the years, but since Red Shoes kind of took that spot, he hasn't really. Sure. All right. So anyway, who else here?
Good question, Brad.
It was. And okay. So Yano and Bolton, they're also on 6 points. We mentioned the loss to Tsuji and Kid, that match, and then they got the win over Chase and Yujiro and Yamanashi. Owens and Bolton wasn't too bad. That was the part of the match that was pretty interesting to me. Again, I know Owens takes a lot of heat. I still think the dude can wrestle, and I understand that he's maybe not the most dynamic or whatever else. But Owens and Bolton, that part of this match wasn't bad at all. No interference in that one because they were both about to do a lot of it in the next House of Torture match. That was the Evil and Fale versus Bishamon match. A lot of shenanigans in that one. So they didn't have any shenanigans in this. And that led to, of course, Bolton getting the victory there. So 6 points for Yano and Bolton. 6 points also, Desperado and Shuji Ishikawa. They got that upset win over Bishamon with that giant slam. Then they lost the match to Tsuji and Kid. I mentioned that the hardcore match, I don't think I ever mentioned the finish, which was very simply, after all that hardcore stuff, Tsuji just hit the Gene Blast and won. So that was the finish there.
Well, he needed the big win before the dome.
All right. And now we have two teams that are totally eliminated. Now, Chase and Yujiro haven't won. They're on 0 points.
Do they go donut whole tournament?
Well, I'm looking at who else they're going to wrestle. Is Taichi and Kojima. I can see them maybe getting a win there. Desperado and Ishikawa, I don't like their chances. Just because I think they're going to want to do something with Ishikawa there, or maybe even give Despe a pin. Ishikawa's been doing most of the finishes in that, and not all of them, but they might go bagel in this thing just to but I feel like they'll get one upset win from someone. But Chase is kind of mentally prepared for it, because his recent post-match comments, he just said, "We're just here to inflict damage. That's what we're here to do." So, well, maybe they are going to just go donut and just try to get in cheap shots whenever they can. Maybe that's where they are.
Sure. I mean, they're there, and you have to have pin eaters apparently in this tournament. And I'm kind of thankful Taichi and Ishii is in a tag team that would potentially only have 2 points in this tournament. I'm more thankful that it's Taichi and Kojima in that position. I don't know if they would do that with Taichi and Ishii together, but Kojima replaced him, so to kind of maybe they rebooked it a little bit. But I'd like to see Taichi and Kojima win one more, and I really don't care if Yujiro and Chase win one at all.
Well, it's an interesting thing, because on the second to last day, they're facing Takahashi and Owens, Yujiro and Chase. And that's when Taichi and Kojima are wrestling them. That could be one that House of Torture actually wins, so that Taichi and Kojima could really set up for an upset on the final day over the tournament leaders, Tsuji and Gabe, to keep them out of it, so that they end up in a tiebreaker with one of the teams that got the win over.
Yeah. I'm with you on this 100%.
Does Chase have the worst theme in wrestling right now? He gets negative reactions. Yeah, I think that. What did you just? What?
It's so terrible. It's awesome again. Like, I keep watching it. I'm like, wow. I'm actually kind of coming around on how shitty this is.
You were the guy as a kid. You liked the song "We're Not the Mounties" for the Quebecers, didn't you? You remember that when he was
their man?
Yeah, you remember that one? That's a classic bad one.
That one earwormed me for a few years, for sure.
All right, for the folks you that are listening here live and are near your keyboards, what's your favorite bad wrestling entrance theme? Your favorite bad one? Your guilty pleasure. I just want to hear that. Put it in the comments. We'll get back to them a little bit later. All right, so there we go. That's the A block right there. Like I mentioned, Kid and Tsuji arguing the most, also scoring the most points. They are right now 4-1 with 2 to go, and a whole mess of teams on 6 points. The two teams eliminated is Taichi and Kojima, who are sticking by each other, by the way. I'll say that. There's not so much infighting right now, which leads me to believe that the last story is them just getting that one final push and maybe a hug in the middle of the ring, shaking hands. And then we have Yujiro and Chase. There's Chaos Goblins the rest of the way. Maybe not winning matches, but they're hurt somebody.
Love them. I told you who I thought were the two advancing. Do you care to surmise a guess?
Yeah, I still think I think Bishamon will probably get in there. And boy, with the rest of this, see, I could actually see Tsuji and Kid making the semifinals and losing then. I agree with you. They can't win it. I mean, Tsuji's busy. Mm-hmm. But I could see them teasing the idea. And also I could also see them making the decision that it's going to make Tsuji look real strong to go deep into the tournament too. So I think that's kind of where my head is. Although Maloney and Shingo, you can't discount them. And their final match is against Bishamon. That feels like a win and get in situation, doesn't it?
You just don't want Evil and Don Fale at all, do you?
Oh, Evil and Fale, crud, you're right. Yeah, you know what? That's probably a semifinal. They're going to have a House of Torture team in the
They
semis.
have to.
Yeah.
They have to. Like, Evil is one of the big... Like, Evil needs more to build him up in that tournament than Tsuji does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's just kind of... You just need more heat on Evil. And I think if Aaron were to cost him the match in the semifinals, I think that would be the play.
Ooh. Oh, you can talk me into that. Yeah, and so a win and you're in scenario where Bishamon slips past Takagi and Maloney to get that spot. Evil and Fale getting in. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, I think you talked me into that.
Bishamon is the 1, Evil and Fale is the 2, and then we'll figure out the 1 and 2 on the other side.
We have an early answer, by the way. Brad was ready for this one. The Roppongi Vice. People seem to hate that theme, but I love it to death. Yeah, it's an earworm. It's an earworm. Yeah, that one's an earworm. I'm trying to think of what's a really awful one. Who was the guy that? During the Attitude Era, I'm blanking on the guy's ring name, but he was the porn star. Val Venus. Yeah, that one was pretty rotten.
You know why? I always... This is the weirdest thing, but whenever I thought of Val Venus and the fact that it was a porn star, I just wondered why they didn't talk about his pal penis.
Even then, there was only so much you could do on the USA Network.
Apparently so.
Oh, yeah, Jeremy remembers one, the Rougeau's theme, American Boys, when they were doing the ultra-patriotic gimmick and waving those tiny little American flags as the sarcastic patriots. Yeah, the Rougeaus have had some... Jacques Rougeau has been on the receiving end of some really rough themes. And think about that. He had to listen to that almost every night of his life. They worked 6-7 nights a week back then.
I think I've gone the entirety of my career, and I've never liked a Jeff Jarrett theme song.
Oh, yeah. Now, you're talking about the one that he...
Any of them. Like, I don't think I've ever liked. You can ask me, and I'm like, nope, don't like it. The answer is nope, I do not like it. I've never liked a Jeff Jarrett theme song.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Just doesn't work for me, brother.
His stuff, it's a little bit like Chase Owens, that it's an over-exaggerated version of a Nashville country song.
Yes. But like Chase Owens, the difference between the two is that Jeff Jarrett was put in a position where he is in your face and he's in the top level stuff. Chase Owens is not. And so I can regard it with the level of seriousness that it deserves, rather than some of those times where Jeff Jarrett was simply not someone that I saw at that level, despite the booking trying to tell me that he was.
I'll give you another one here, Jeremy, and it's going to come across as strange because it was a main eventer, in fact, a legend. Outside of the context of pro wrestling, play Shawn Michaels' Sexy Boy theme for anyone who doesn't watch wrestling and watch their face.
Yeah.
With Sherry Martel trying to sing over it.
You know what was actually really cringe-worthy was, oh my God, is that Private Party starting there?
Yeah. But Shawn Michaels, that entire song, is like, play that for someone who's never watched wrestling, and they will just look at you like you're an alien.
Counterpoint. The one time Kurt Angle did that song on SmackDown in the build to the feud versus Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle was magic.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I think we have digressed enough here. Let's get back to Block B. Now, Block B is a little bit more complicated, isn't it, Jeremy? First of all, no one is eliminated. Everyone is on either 6 points or 4 points. So you were either 3-2 or 2-3 in this tournament at this stage. So this one is all cluttered. So again, nobody eliminated, nobody in the lead. But the first team we're going to talk about, Jeremy, is Shota Umino and Yuya Uemura. Now, the B block had 3 matches since we were last doing the show. And they lost to Umino, and Uemura lost to the United Empire when Newman pinned Shota. And I thought that was a step forward for Callum Newman. I'm not sure he gets very many pins over Shota Umino 4 months ago even.
Stomp on him and shut him down.
Yeah. And by the way, we'll talk about United Empire a little bit later, but there have been no incidents between Uemura and Umino since the bowing on the Lion Mark incident, where Uemura did not bow with Tanahashi and ELP when Umino maybe presumptuously said, "Leave Hantai to me," and it looked like it honked off Uemura a little bit. But no incident since then. Everyone's just, like, hey, we're here to carry Hantai forward, and sort of saying the corporate message correctly. But I still feel like something's brewing there, or it could be me just trying to will it into being. But in this match,
then they did their best to instigate an AEW war.
They decided to make it about that. We'll talk about that match next. By the way, that Okan and Newman versus Shota and Uemura, pretty good match. Uemura and Umino having really strong matches on this tour.
They're the best team in the tournament.
Them and Shingo and Maloney, as far as
you can argue them,
matches.
You can argue Zack Sabre Jr. and Oiwa, but I feel like the common thread in a lot of the good matches are Shota and Yuya.
Yeah, there was one match we're going to talk about in a bit where not even Zack and Oiwa could get anything out of it, but that's coming up.
Yeah.
Anyway, Uemura and Umino, and man, I'm going to have fun trying to pronounce Uemura's name smoothly.
I just say Yuya and Shota; it's way easier.
Well, they defeated Zayn and Archer in a really good match in Akita. This was a good one. Monster Sauce had it won on Uemura when he hit the big move off of his shoulders that Lance Archer does, except he uses Alex Zane as the impact on the guy instead of just throwing the guy down to the mat. He throws Zane on top of him. Shota broke it up though, but Uemura was beat. Shota broke it up. Really good rally, included a lot of counters, a lot of near falls, but Uemura managed to get a deadbolt on Zane to win. Terrific one. I really enjoyed that match. And then they had the absolute best match of the entire week against Finlay and Hiromu. I feel very strongly this is the best match I've seen.
Wow, you think so, huh?
I do. And I thought it was an outstanding last few minutes. Each team had a moment where they hit their partners for dramatic effect there. Shota hit Yuya with a lariat. Finlay threw Hiromu at a corner for a buckle bomb. And I believe it was Uemura that dodged, and he ended up splattering poor Hiromu. No fighting between the partners, but I love this match. Second chapter on Hiromu to win in the match after Hiromu almost won with an inside cradle off of an earlier attempt to hit second chapter. I say go see that match. So Shota Umino, Yuya Uemura lost their first match of the week, then had two strong performances and won their next two. They're on 6 points.
There was something in this match that I thought about that you didn't really touch on, and I may have to rewatch it because I didn't think it was as good as you did, but I liked it a lot. And that is, there was something away that Finlay was in this match where he no longer felt like he was either a gatekeeper or a final boss for either Shota or Yuya in this match. They felt more like at the same level rather than like this guy was somebody they were going to have to overcome. And it was a subtle shift. I wasn't quite sure how to parse it, but the way that the match was wrestled, like I just did not feel like Finlay was the big bad boss that he used to be. Like he was a brawler wrestler, the gimmick with Hiromu or whatever. But he has been built and he has been portrayed and he has been treated as like this guy, this absolute goalpost you cannot get past if you want to accomplish your goals in New Japan. And for Shota and Yuya to just get past these guys, and yeah, it was what it was. Like it was a good match. Just the way that it was positioned and the optics of it, I thought were really curious. And I don't know if anyone else really thought about that.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I still feel like what they're trying to do with Finlay is just protect themselves. And I don't think they know if he's leaving. I doubt that Finlay knows if he's leaving. And we don't know when his contract is up. But it does feel like they are... Instead of jumping in with both feet, they're kind of hanging on to the edge of the pool with him. He's in the pool, he's in the mix, but they're not going into the deep end with him. And I don't think they want to put a title on him in case he leaves. I don't think they want to go too much into a major storyline with Finlay in case he leaves. And I feel like that's kind of what we're getting out of him right now is just caution from the
They're
company.
healing Newman and they're facing Finley. That's basically what it is. And until they have plans or they need plans or whatever, it's kind of what it is. And look, Finley's a really good wrestler, and he's grown leaps and bounds since the time that he adopted this persona. So I got no issues with it. I just thought it was interesting the way that he was positioned.
Okay. Let's see. And then we have Yuto, Ice, and Oscar. So they defeated ELP and Tanahashi in a match that I felt was in second gear, basically, until about the 12-minute mark before it kicked in. Bomba-clad on Tanahashi for 3. So Ice actually pinned Tana. Ice actually pinned Tanahashi. And then they're on a roll, by the way, the tag team champions. Remember, they kind of got off to a slow start, but they beat Newman and Okan in a decent match in Akita, pardon me. That was the knockout bomb on Great Okan. And then they defeated Zach and Oiwa in a big one in Shizuoka. That was an interesting match. Zach worked body parts, as you would imagine, but Oiwa really shined with both Ice and Oscar. I came out of that thinking singles matches against either of these guys would be a lot of fun with against Oiwa. He just seemed to really work well with both of them. Again, they're not of the same generation of young lions, but not far. They're not too far away. So I'm sure they have worked together quite a bit. And but that was really good. So once again, a slow start for the tag team champions, but they're coming on strong toward the end, as they should.
I expect this team not to lose, if at the finals, if at all. Like, I think those 2 losses in the beginning are putting them on a run to win 5 in a row and win the block. And then they'll at least go into the semifinals as the number 1. And I kind of think they're going to be the ones to defeat Evil and Fale, where you have that Oscar picking up Fale kind of image, and they're doing the pile driver kick with Yuto Ice on Fale, just kind of a really impressive visual to kind of cement them.
That's a big ask. I
think it's possible. Like, Oscar's a big guy. He's bigger than
I feel like the running knee is a more likely finish for that one.
Possible. I want them to do a power move on Fale to really cement them, and I think that's the direction that we should be going in, getting them to the finals. Because there were a lot of people that are really upset that they lost 2 right out the gate. But I kind of thought, like, well, if they lose another one, you got a problem. But if they don't, you've got a story. And that is correct. They run through everybody.
There's a long history of them putting a favorite behind the 8 ball and having them rally toward the end. It's a classic thing they do in New Japan tournaments.
And the part that gives me real nervous for Shota Umino and Yuya Uemura is that their last match in the tournament is against Oscar and Yuto Ice, and that screams to me win and get it. And you're out of luck if you don't.
Absolutely agreed.
That's kind of why I don't think Shota and Yuya are moving forward, and hopefully we get a story that puts them in a bit more prominence for Wrestle Kingdom going forward. But yeah, Yuto and Oscar, I think the entire World Tag League story kind of secretly has been about them, and it is to build them up and show them as dominant through World Tag League all the way through Wrestle Kingdom.
All right. After that, we have the other House of Torture team in the tournament, Ren Narita and Sonata. To me, this is the most disappointing team in the tournament. I don't think they've been good at all. They haven't been wrestling much. Even Narita, a lot of eye rakes and chokes, and they had a match against Zach and Oiwa, and not even TMDK could get much out of these guys. It was like pulling teeth watching Zach trying to get these guys to do anything. Oiwa hit the Dr. Bomb, but the referee was pulled out of the ring. Hartley Jackson tried to help, but they're, again, the numbers game for House of Torture. Hell's Guillotine, and this match landed flat on its face. No crowd reaction to the 3 count. I mean, that's shocking lack of reaction to this match ending. It just shows that these guys aren't doing it for anybody. And it may be health reasons that Sonata just isn't doing anything. But man, it's hard to watch Ren Narita get sucked into that. And he seems to be a guy who matches the energy around him. If the other guys are working hard, Ren works hard. But if it's Sonata, Ren doesn't do anything. And it's kind of sad to watch that. And but against Finley and Hiromu and Akita, Sho and Kanemaru came out early. They did a lot here to hide the fact that nobody's wrestling. They handcuffed Finlay to the rail. The drama was outside the ring instead of in it because nothing was happening in it. Nagai was sent to get the key while Hiromu sold. A lot of just stomping and kicking. But Nagai was sent to get the key. Nagai comes and gets the key, but he's beaten up by Sho and Kanemaru in the aisle to stop him from helping out Finlay. But Geto comes to the rescue and attacks Sho and Kanemaru and gets the key, unleashes David Finlay. The second half of the match with Finlay free was decent, but more House of Torture shenanigans led to the Hell's Guillotine on Hiromu. They are doing everything they can to take your eyes off of the two guys wrestling. Because believe me, Sho and Kanemaru worked harder in this match than Narita and Sonata did. And then they had a match against Newman and Okan in which Okan got the guitar away from Sonata and absolutely smashed it over Sonata's head. So fighting fire with fire actually got a response out of the crowd. People seem to enjoy seeing that. And that was a loss for House of Torture there. So they went 2-1 this week, up to 6 points. But that loss to Newman and Okan might end up costing them too. There's going to be, with this block, everyone at 6 or 4, there are going to be a lot of tiebreakers in play.
I think this might be the block where somebody gets in with 8 points. I think everyone is going to get in with 10, but I think there's one team that's going to squeak in with 8 on tiebreakers. And I'm not sure who that is just yet, but I definitely don't think it's Red Narita and Sonata. If Evil and Don Follow are getting in, these guys are just threatening and chaos goblining their way to relevancy, at least at this point in the tournament.
Brad mentions, this is why I have a slight fear of Doki. I hope he doesn't fall into this House of Torture work. That's what I've been saying too. That guy is so compelling, and it's so disappointing that they put him in a group where there is just no character development. I mean, really, Evil is the exact same act he was 5 years ago, and that's tough for a guy that is a better wrestler than that, and that's been a tough one. And he also wants to mention that Drilla has been great on the call with Walker, and he's enjoyed Lance Archer as well. Lance Archer's a pretty good announcer. I
think Lance Archer appreciated having some attention on him.
Yeah, because he has been lost in the shuffle. The other thing I want to mention about the B block while we're here, because Lance Archer is the perfect personification of it. You can see how much it means to each of the guys in the tournament to have their last match against Tanahashi.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
They were in the other, that was one that I think has really shown up here. Lance Archer actually got on the microphone and said a few things.
He owed him an apology too for dropping him at the end of the match.
He did. And then he was nice in the post-match comments. Even Yuto Ice didn't drop the character, but put it into first gear for a little bit, eased up on it to say that he appreciated Tanahashi and what he's done for him. And Oiwa made special comments about how it's the last one against ELP and Tanahashi. So it means a lot to these guys. And we're seeing that come out. A lot of emotions with these guys as they face the Ace for the final time.
Yeah. It was really nice to see, but that Archer moment, especially, where he grabbed the mic and he just said, thank you for everything, 14 years, the whole deal. And then Alex Hayes is kind of like, yeah, thank you very much too. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think that was about it. I don't think Zayn ran into him too much, really, did he?
Yeah. Just like, I'm really glad to be here and thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, but I mean, if you don't have that history with him, and Archer did a lot.
They've done the tours together, but
yeah,
the level of interaction that he had with Archer is completely different. So for context, in this match, they're doing their whole thing, the Tanahashi Monster Sauce, and we're getting to the finish. And ELP has Zayn in the middle of the ring, and he's getting up to the top turnbuckle in the corner to do a thunder kick from there. And Tanahashi is getting up on the other corner turnbuckle, and he's going to do an Aces High on Lance Archer at the same time to kind of stop him from doing it. So they immediately
important to note, Archer is not in the ring; he's on the floor.
He's on the floor. So Tanahashi is jumping from the top rope to the floor of the arena. The Thunder Kiss goes off without a bang. But if you look at Tanahashi, you see him go for the Aces High. He then impacts straight into Lance Archer's chest and then just drops straight down on the ground. And I just watch him like, oh my God, our Wrestle Kingdom main event is over. And I'm watching, and I'm just waiting for about 30 seconds. And then Tanahashi just leaps up and rolls into the ring, and he's totally fine. And I'm just like, oh, thank God.
He probably took a few deep breaths out there to make sure he was okay, too.
Holy moly.
Another team that's on 6 points, by the way, Zack Sabre Jr. and Ryohei Oiwa. We mentioned the lost House of Torture, where there was just shenanigans, and they really couldn't get much out of the House of Torture team. But then Tanahashi and El Phantasmo beat him when Tanahashi hit a high fly flow on Oiwa in a pretty good match. That was a pretty strong one. And the fans were into that late. And again, Zack is just the right guy for Tanahashi because when he's working with Tanahashi, Tanahashi doesn't have to run and jump a lot. But they have really good wrestling in and out of holds on the ground. Both of them are good at doing that. So Zack's always the right guy to put in there with Tanahashi, even when he has bad knees.
I thought this match was tremendous too.
Yeah, that was a really good one. And in Shizuoka, they had the loss to the Knockout Brothers, where Oiwa was hit with the KOB. So that's a rough week in terms of tiebreakers for Sabre and Oiwa, isn't it?
Well, they need help from 2 House of Torture losses. If House of Torture stays at 6, there is a scenario where they have the tiebreakers over Shota and Yuya and a couple others, and if they could win on 8.
Yeah. And let's see here. They had, Okay.
So, they lost to Narita and Sonata, and they've lost to Yuto, Ice, and Oscar, which are both 2 very dangerous teams to advance. But I also think the Knockout Brothers are advancing. Tanahashi and Phantasmo, they lost to them, but I don't think that they're in the running for that. So that means that they have to get through both Finlay and Hiromu and Archer and Zayn to get to 8 points. If they do that, if Shota Umino and Yuya Uemura also hit 8, they will advance over them.
After that, we have another team on 6. Callum Newman and Great Okan. So they got a big win over Uemura and Umino.
Mm-hmm.
We then mentioned the loss to the Knockout Brothers. In Shizuoka, they defeated Sonata and Narita. That's when I talked about the time when Kanemaru interfered. Okan managed to get the guitar away from Sonata, blistered Sonata in the head with it, and then hit the Eliminator to win. And so all of their matches were against teams that also have 6 points. So there could be other tiebreaker implications there. I still feel like when it comes to Newman and Okan, we're just biding time with these two until whatever angle takes place finally happens. And
they've been the turn.
Been coy in the post-match comments. Newman said they might need to throw someone out or bring someone in to make the Empire into something. Okan has been a bit aloof toward Newman and Jacob Austin Young. So there's some sort of explosion or implosion coming with United Empire. It's just a matter of time. And I think that's what I'm more interested in than Newman and Okan advancing in this tournament right now.
Yeah. Even if they were to advance, I don't really know what the story would be for them other than we're just angry at the world.
Yeah.
And it's not really time for that right now.
I'm just hoping Henare is getting close to returning and that he is a part of the story whenever it happens. I am a big fan of Henare. I think he's a really sharp guy. I think he's a good worker. And I hope that
terrible timing the majority of his career.
Man. And the injuries he's had have been significant. I mean, really significant ones, not just getting banged up, but every time it seems like he's getting a little bit of momentum, he's put out for months. He can't seem to get a break, and I hope he does in 2026.
I'm with you on that.
After that, we have the teams on 4 points. That's Tanahashi and El Phantasmo. They lost to the Knockout Brothers and Naomori. They got a big win over Oiwa and Zack in a good match, like we mentioned, and then they defeated Shane and Archer and Shizuoka with Thunder Kiss. Off to a bad start. They did not win much early, but they are coming on stronger late.
Yeah, I look at them and I just don't see any reason for Tanahashi to be involved in anything in the semifinals in this. So maybe win one more. I could see them being the spoiler for Narita and Sonata to advance and giving Tanahashi a little bit of a happy ending in the tournament and give Great Okan and Newman maybe one more win. So they go 8 and Callum Newman and Great O'Con go 8, and Ren Narita and Sonata go 6, and all seem great in the world. But they have no interest in making Tanahashi look weak at any point going into this last match. So I really don't see him losing the last match of World Tag League, even if they don't advance.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Phantasmo doing that. And they don't have to protect the television champion like they need to protect some of the others. And Brad says Walker has been heavy on commentary about United Empire, so we know something big is coming. The foreshadowing is strong with this one. Foreshadowing is strong. Other team on 4 points, David Finlay and Hiromu Takahashi. They have been entertaining. They've been interesting, and their matches have been pretty decent thus far. Of course, the whole thing is that Finlay uses Hiromu a lot as an offensive weapon, and Hiromu is kind of taking it on the chin a little bit, like, all right, fine, I don't like it, but I get it. And they've been supportive of Hiromu. I've noticed that. Like on the last time, they haven't been winning a lot. Their last match that they lost, as a matter of fact, Finlay, patted him on the leg. Geto helped roll Hiromu out, and then they got some young lions to help Hiromu to the back. For the most part, they're teasing him, but being supportive of him. Like these guys are actually starting to get along a little bit. They have 2 matches left on 4 points. Their 2 matches, though, are significant ones. They against O'Con and Newman on the last day. Second to last day against Zack Sabre Jr. and Ryohei Oiwa. That match ought to be pretty damn good.
Should be pretty good. As much as Finlay and Takahashi seem like they're alive, they're almost virtually eliminated because they have losses to Umino and Uemura and Narita and Sonata. And whoever wins that Zack Oiwa match with Finlay and Hiromu is pretty much going to eliminate the other one, in all honesty, because there's no path to get past anyone else for those guys with the amount of matches left. So they're fun. I've really enjoyed Finlay and Hiromu, and I hope that there's something to the story after the tournament. But I think this part of the story wraps up shortly.
And again, they're being cautious with Finlay because of circumstances with, with the War Dogs as a whole. It's a little bit different than the other cross faction team, that being the War Dragons. Maloney might be a good fit in a faction with Shingo if things go different directions. Whereas Finlay and Hiromu, I don't see a future for them together as a team after this. So I don't think there's really any point in them making the semifinals. Sure. I think they could just be an entertaining part of this tournament and then on to other things. It just doesn't seem like a long-term deal. Whereas, if Shingo goes off and starts his own faction, or, Tsuji kind of caroms off because he's the champion now and all this stuff, I think there's going to be a shift like that coming in 2026. Maloney would be a good fit for stuff like that. All right.
I agree.
Thanks. Zack Sabre Jr. and Ryohei Oiwa are on 4 points as well. And they have Finlay and Hiromu to come, Archer and Zayn to come. Zack and Ryohei Oiwa, another situation where they might make the semifinals. They might rally toward the end and make it. I just don't feel like they think of Oiwa in a spot like that quite yet. So I could also see him getting beat on that last night too, to take them out of contention. But it's one of those things. I could see them beating Hiromu and Finlay, but falling to Zayn and Archer on the last day, perhaps, or something like that. But it doesn't feel like a team that's going to go too far. I think they have other things in mind for Zack than tag team wrestling. And as far as Oiwa goes, maybe they'll make the semifinals, but it just doesn't feel like it. And Oiwa's time is yet to come. They're telling stories with the other guys from his generation at the moment.
I'm going to push back on that a little bit, because I was looking at this, and if Yuto Ice and Oscar are going, that's one team. And if they're in a win and get in scenario with Shota Umino and Yuya Uemura, you kind of have to rule them out. So if you rule them out, you really only have realistically 3 teams in here that you could do. And that is Finlay and Hiromu, Zack Sabre and Ryohei, and Great O'Con and Callum Newman. Now I look at that other bracket, and you have Bishamon, which, might I add, has a former world champion on one of the teams. Now, if you bring Zack Sabre Jr. in, you have a former world champion on another one of the teams, which immediately elevates the level of caliber of all the teams in this post-block play. And you could also run back. If Zack Sabre Jr.'s team is the number 2, you then get another Hiroki Goto Zack Sabre Jr. match in a tag in a premium spot on the show. So I was kind of looking at it and thinking, like, it doesn't look good for them right now, but I think they're squeaking in as that last team of all of them, basically because of the world title pedigree of most of the teams that aren't going to win, but can look good at some point in the tournament.
So maybe they get that win over Archer and Zayn in the last match,
so.
And that's what puts them over the top. Okay.
I think they win their last 2 and squeak in on 8 over Shota Umino and Yuya Uemura on that last night.
Yeah, it's a thing with Oiwa where I just feel like they don't take him quite as seriously on that level yet. But Zach, they certainly do.
But Oiwa's the one that can lose to Bishamon in that next match.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then you protect Zack Sabre Jr. And just like Fale would take the pin for Evil against the Knockout Brothers. So those are my 4 teams in that order. Would be Bishamon and Zack Sabre Jr. in one, and then Evil and Fale versus the Knockout Brothers in the other. And then pick whatever you want at that point. Knockout Brothers versus Bishamon seems like the play for me, but whatever.
And the final one we're talking about is Monster Sauce. They are 2 and 3. Their 2 wins have come over House of Torture and Finlay and Hiromu, and then they have taken losses Tanahashi and Phantasmo, Umino and Uemura. I mentioned that with the deadbolt there. Okan and Newman. Their last 2 are against the Knockout Brothers. I don't like their chances in that one. And Zack and Oiwa, like we mentioned that last day there. One other thing I meant thinking about this with Fale against the Knockout Brothers, since we think that the Knockout Brothers are going to advance, perhaps facing Evil and Fale. Fale helped train both those guys. Remember, both of those guys spent some time in the Fale dojo in New Zealand. So there could be a little bit of a thing where maybe Fale gets to give him the rub a little bit. And that way it'll protect Evil.
There you go.
And eliminate him from the tournament. Fale.
This is all coming together. This is all coming together, Steven.
Yeah. So there you go. So that could be a thought there and a way to get Ice and Oscar into the next stage of the tournament. So, yeah.
All right, you guys, let us know your thoughts. If you think we're right or wrong, join us next week on the show and let us know how dumb we are or how arrogant we are to think that this clearly did not happen. I love that kind of feedback.
So we have a question that we're going to get to from Jeremy here in a little bit, but I'm going to mention the schedule coming up. Okay. So today is the 4th. There's no show today. They're traveling. And then tomorrow, though, they pick things up at Edion Arena, the prefectural gym number 2, so the small arena in the Edion Arena in Osaka. So that's always a big one. Main event for that one, by the way, is going to be in the A block, Bishamon against Kid and Tsuji. That's the main event in Osaka. From there, they will move on to Ehime. We're heading down south, moving down south. And that'll be the B block, Uemura and Umino versus Sanada and Ren Narita. We'll also get Hiromu and Finlay against Sabre and Oiwa, and that is going to be on the Ehime show is Sunday. So we're on Friday, no show on Saturday, but back Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. 4 in a row beginning Sunday. Monday is going to be in Hiroshima at the Sun Plaza Hall. So again, another fairly big town for New Japan, and that one's going to have Evil and Fale against Oleg and Yano, and then we're going to go to Fukuoka, way down south. Now we're getting down into better weather this time of year. A little get down south where the climate's a little nicer. Phantasmo and Tanahashi against Sanada and Narita in that one, that main event. Wednesday, Nagasaki, and that's going to be on Wednesday the 10th, and that is going to be the semifinals. So there you have it there. And then another show that's going to be another semifinal in Kagoshima at the Sendai Sun Arena. That's Friday, December 12th, and of course we'll have previews of all that. So by the time we come back, we will have already had one of the semifinals, but not both of them. So we'll know a little bit, but not the whole thing about the finals when we reconvene next Thursday. So the good news is, Jeremy, no Thursday show, so we have time to digest before we do the show live.
I'm so excited, Stephen.
Oh,
I can't
good.
wait for another week of getting back together with you and talking about all things New Japan.
So here's a question that we're going to end with today,
Sure.
and I'm looking forward to it as well. I think it's going to be. Jeremy says, do you have a favorite territory or a favorite angle from the territory days? Mine is classic Memphis. Just curious for the end of the show. I love classic Memphis. Lance Russell, seriously, probably the best commentator of all time as far as dealing with the craziness that was Memphis wrestling and making it sound like it made sense. And Lawler was fantastic. Jimmy Hart, Bill Dundee. I love classic Memphis. My favorite territory, though, if I had to pick one year, 1984 Mid-South is as good as territory wrestling ever got. If you have to pick a whole era, Jim Crockett Promotions in the 80s, Mid-Atlantic wrestling was pretty good top to bottom. And that's my personal favorite for me anyway. That's my personal favorite territory. If I'm just going to go to a desert island, I'm taking the Jim Crockett Promotion tapes. And that was it. So any thoughts on that one for you, Jeremy? You like any classic stuff?
Jeremy called me out a little bit because I started on WWF and I never I was too young for the territories for the most part. And then I got out of wrestling and then I got into it when I was back into it when I was 18. I just never did the territory stuff. Like it just never really happened. And so I know of it. I'll go into it and I'll look at matches, for research and all that stuff. But retracing territory shows or like really like getting into it outside of like researching a specific guy or whatnot, I just never did it. So I apologize. I'm not the Huckleberry for this one.
I did it enough for all of us, though. I've done a lot of that research.
Look, I got all the comic books. I got all that stuff. I nerd alert in a completely different way. But
yeah, absolutely. No. That's Ringside Replay. I examine all the territory days on my website back there. And you can email me there, ringsidereplay@gmail.com, by the way, if you have any other questions or comments or anything else about the show, you feel free to do it that way. And I love the old territory wrestling. And I think it's just a lot of fun to watch. As far as angles go, I'll give you two. And they're both turns, but Ole Anderson turning on Dusty Rhodes in the cage in Georgia in 1980 was one of the greatest ever. And his promo afterwards, the two promos afterwards, both Ole live in the studio with Gordon Solie, brilliant. And then Dusty's reply, which they cut to, and it was just fantastic promos, just amazing stuff. And then the other one was, it's another classic from Mid-South, not 1984, which is their best overall year, but 1985, when they did the famous double turn, Dick Murdoch and Ted DiBiase, coming off of a Ric Flair match. When they pulled off the rare double turn, it's about as good as dramatic wrestling got back then. When DiBiase, the hated North American champion, challenged Ric Flair for the world title, and Dick Murdoch, the babyface, by the end of the show, it all turned around the other way. Just great booking for Bill Watson.
I actually got a funny story for you. It goes to this territory and this whole thing. About 5 or 6 years ago, first becoming friends with Dave Meltzer, I get invited for a birthday dinner for him or whatever. And afterwards, he's like, hey, you know what I really want to do? I want to watch this documentary on old Florida wrestling. We're all just like, okay, if that's what you want to do. So we all go back to his house and we're all just like on a Friday night at 10:30 at night watching this documentary about the Florida wrestling. That's exactly what he wanted to do. And I was like, if I'm going to be friends with Dave, this is going to be the life.
Yeah, I mean, there's great stuff back then. It was such a different time. I encourage anybody to go back and look at some of that stuff. And Brad says, great show, fellas. Nice to be back after some time away due to work. We're very glad to see you back as well, Brad. Thank you.
And congratulations to you, Brad, on all the personal efforts that you have made for your health and all that. I saw that, and I thought that was tremendous and good for you, sir.
Very cool. All right. So with all that in mind, we have a busy week ahead, a lot of shows, and we will be back here next week to look at one of the semifinals, preview the other semifinal and the finals of World Tag League, and hopefully get some more answers as the direction of the company.
Maybe we might not show up. You never know. but more
I'll
likely
be
we'll
here.
be here. Yeah,
I'm feeling pretty confident I'll be here. I want to thank everybody who joined us here live on YouTube, everyone who listens to us later as a podcast or watches this video later. We're very grateful that you spend your time with us. We really enjoy it and have fun talking to everybody.
Stephen, I'm glad you had a smile on your face for this show. I'll leave it at that.
It's been a week, so it has been a week. I'm putting on a smile.
The laughter is fake, but the tears are real.
Well, the one consistent thing for me in my life when I am dealing with some stuff is wrestling can kind of be that escapism for me, and that's what it's been this week, and that's what it's going to be in the week ahead. And I'm grateful for it. I love this weird art form, this little mix of theater and sports, and I'm glad I get a chance to talk to you with it about it every week and with all the people there.
And we're going to run it back next week, my man.
We sure will. So with that in mind, for Jeremy Finestone, I'm Stephen Conway. This has been Speaking of Strong Style, and we will talk to you again real soon.